friends. So your math teachers are out today, but we're still going to learn. We're still going to keep moving on with the lesson. So make sure you are following along with me in your notes. We are still talking about GMDOS. We introduced this yesterday, so order of operations, and making sure that we're going in the correct order when we're adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing integers. So real quick, let's look at our toolbox and see what tools we have to help us. So one of the first things we learned in this unit was team positive versus team negative. So that's when you make your team positive and your team negative. So if we were to add 6 plus -5, well, the 6 would go on team positive and the -5 would go on team negative. Then we ignore the negative signs and we look and we say, okay, is 6 bigger or is 5 bigger? Well, 6 is obviously bigger, right? If I was on a team and I scored 6 points, I beat the team that scored 5 points. So I take my winner, which was the positive, and it was 6, and I subtract my loser, which was 5. So 6 minus 5 is 1, and then I keep the sign of the winner, which was positive. So my answer is +1. So that's our team positive, team negative. And you could have more than one thing on the team positive and team negative. I could have multiple positive numbers, and you would just have to go through and add up everything. So your final for team positive would be 16 points instead of the 6. So you can have multiple. You would just have to add them up before you voted on who won. Okay. Then moving on, we have KCO. Remember, this stands for keep. Whoop. It's not how you spell keep. There we go. Change opposite. So this is when we're subtracting integers. We really don't subtract integers. We change them to addition problems. So if I had 3 minus -6, that's kind of ugly. So we're going to change it, and we're going to make it into an addition problem by doing KCO, keep, change, opposite. So I'm going to keep my first number. He gets to stay. So keep the 3. Just going to move him down. I'm going to change my negative, or my minus, sorry, not my negative, my subtraction sign to a addition sign, and then I do the opposite of my second number. So since this is a -6, I get to change it to a +6. Now I do this problem, and you can use this other tool we use, team positive, team negative, if you need it. This one we don't need it because it's just like adding regular old positive integers like you did back in elementary school. So 3 plus 6 is 9. So that would be our final answer. Okay, so there's KCO. Then we learned, this is with Dorito Man, we learned with division and multiplication, right? So we learned that this works for this. So with division and multiplication of integers, all we have to do is either multiply or divide like normal, and then we use our Dorito Man to help us figure out what sign it's going to be. So we've got the little negative signs are his eyeballs, right? And then we've got the additions, his mouth. So if I were to have a problem like 6 times -3, I ignore the negative and I just do 6 times 3, which I know is 18. And then I say, okay, I'm going to cover up what I have. I have a +6. Okay, +6, so he's gone. And I have a -3, so he's gone. And I'm left over with a negative. So the answer is going to be -18. So that's how Dorito Man works. So let's write purple. Okay. -18. Okay, and then lastly, GMDOS. Remember, this stands for grouping. Those are parentheses, which we've seen. They could be brackets. It could be little braces. You could have a lot of different things. We've got exponents we kind of touched on yesterday. That's that itty bitty baby number up on top. That's the exponent. This little guy up here. We've got multiplication. And I'm going to put slash division. Those two go together. So remember we talked about that goes left to right. Whatever comes in your problem first goes first. So if you have multiplication and division, you don't put multiplication first because it comes first in GMDOS. You do whichever one comes first. Notice how I put these two together? They're a team. It goes left to right. Multiplication / division. And then it's same thing with addition / subtraction. Those two go together. And again, we have to remember these things go from left to right. So just like we would read a book, whatever comes first in our problem goes first. Okay, so there's our toolbox. We've got all our tools. Now let's get busy. Let's get started. Okay, so number first, I've got negative 12 plus 3 times 2. So I've got addition in this and I've got multiplying in this. Well, I know GMDOS multiplication is going to come before addition. So I'm going to underline this. This is going to go first. 3 times 2 is 6. And I'm going to rewrite my problem, negative 12 plus 6. It's really important that you follow these steps in the way I'm doing it, where you underline what you're doing and then follow down, or else it gets really confusing and you lose track of things. Okay, negative 12 plus 6. Again, this is our team positive, team negative. If you still need it, you can do that and write it over here, positive, negative. Negative 12, positive 6. Well, the 12 would win. So I take my winner, subtract my loser. 12 minus 6 is 6. And since team negative 1, the answer would be negative 6. So that would be my final answer, negative 6. Okay, number next. I've got 3 different signs. I've got minus, multiply, and divide. So this is kind of what we were talking about. I know minus is going to go last, right? It's either multiply or divide. And to tell which one goes first, we work from the left of the problem to the right of the problem. So we see which one comes first. Well, multiplying's first in the problem, so that's what we do first. So 8 times 10 is 80. And I've got 5 minus 80 divided by 2. I'm copying it all down, keeping it nice and pretty. Then I divide 80 divided by 2. Well, that's kind of hard, but I do know 8 divided by 2 is 4. And then I add that 0 on, so I know it's 40. Or if you needed to, you could come over here and draw your little house and know, okay, 2 goes into 8 4 times. 8 minus 8 is 0, and then I have to have a hat on top of that number 2, so 40. And then I've got 5 minus 40. So this is where we have to use our tool, KCO. Keep, change, opposite. So I'm going to keep my first number, change my minus to a plus. Opposite of positive 40 is negative 40. Okay? Then I have my team positive versus team negative. So I've got positive 5, negative 40. Obviously, 40 wins. They blew them out of the water. And I take my winner, subtract my loser, and I get 35. Team negative 1, so it's negative 35. Negative 35. Okay, let's look at the next one. So I have 2 operations for this one. I've got division and I've got addition. Well, division's going to go first. Division and multiplication always go before addition and subtraction. So I've got negative 25 divided by negative 5. So this is our Dorito man. I divide like normal. 25 divided by 5 is 5. Then I look over at my Dorito. Well, I used both negatives, so I'm left with a positive. So it's positive 5. And then I bring down my 3. 5 plus 3 is 8. Those are just regular positive integers, so I don't need to do team positive, team negative. So we are done. Okay, number 4. I've got multiply and divide. So again, I've got to work from left to right. So whatever comes first in my problem, well, multiply comes first, so that's what I'm going to do first. 3 times negative 10. So multiply without the negative. So 3 times 10 is 30. Then I look over at Dorito Man. Well, 3 is positive, so positive's gone. And negative 10 is negative, so negative's gone. And I'm left with a negative, so it's negative 30. Then I bring down divided by -2. Okay, so again, I'm dividing like normal. Forget the negatives for now. 30 divided by 2, which is 15. And again, if you didn't know that, you could come over here to the side, do some scratch work. Well, 2 goes into 3 one time. 1 times 2 is 2. 3 minus 2 is 1. Bring down our 0. 2 goes into 10 5 times. So if you needed to do that, you could always go over there and do scratch work. Okay? Then Dorito Man again. I've got a negative and a negative. So my answer's got to be positive. Pretty straightforward, right? Okay, I want y'all to try the next one, and then we'll go over it. So your teacher's going to pause it, and then we'll go over it. Okay, get busy. Okay, hopefully you've had a chance to solve. If your teacher hasn't already paused it, they'll pause it and wait for y'all. Okay, so we've got multiplication in this one and subtraction. So hopefully you started with multiplication because that comes first in GMDOS. So I've got -11 times 9. I'm going to multiply 11 times 9 first, and I get 99. Then I'm going to do my triangle, Dorito Man, and I've got a -11, +9. I'm left with a negative, so this is -99. And then bring down -2. Okay, we've got a subtraction, which we don't do. We do KCO, keep, change, opposite. Keep -99. Change my minus to a plus. And opposite of negative or +2 is -2. So notice these are both going to be on team negative. So I've got positive and negative. These both go over here. So I'm not really going to be subtracting to see who scored the most. They got 0 points. They didn't get anything. So I just got to figure out how much they have. So I just have to add these two together. 99 plus 2. Well, 9 plus 2 is going to be 11. Carry the 1. 9 plus 1 is 10. So it's going to be -101. Oops. -101. So hopefully you got that. Okay, let's try the next one. So remember we talked about different forms of multiplication. So y'all used to do this. That's kind of old school. We don't really do that anymore. That's elementary. You might see the dot, you might see a parentheses, or in this problem, you might see 2 parentheses. All of these things just mean multiply. So you need to get used to seeing them in this format. So again, if you see 2 parentheses and there's nothing in between them, it means multiply. So I'm doing 2 times -5, which means I'm really just doing 2 times 5, which is 10. And then I look at my Dorito guy, Dorito Man, whatever he is, and I've got +2, -5. I'm left with a negative, so it's -10. And then +2. Okay, we're adding, so I'm going to do team positive versus team negative. Well, I've got -10 goes on team negative. +2 goes on team positive. And then I say, okay, well, team negative obviously wins. They got 10 points. So I take my winning team, subtract my losing team. 10 minus 2 is 8. And because it's on the team negative, I put the negative sign. So this is equal to -8. Okay, number 7. So I've got add, divide, and add. So division always goes first, but I do see grouping symbols. I have these parentheses. These have to go first. So in this case, division goes first and parentheses. So I'm going to go ahead and do what's in parentheses. It's like they get VIP access, okay? They get to go first. So even if it were an addition problem in here, it would still get to go first, even though this -14 goes first. Because of those parentheses, if I can say it, we get VIP access and they get to skip ahead to the line. Okay, so 12 divided by 3 we know is 4. Copy everything down, make it nice and pretty. Okay, then I'm working from left to right. So I start like reading a book. I start over here. This plus goes first, so I'm doing that plus first. -14 plus 4. -14 and 4. Well, 14 obviously wins, so I take 14 and subtract 4, and I get 10. And it was on team negative, so it's negative 10. I'm going to write down here. And then I'm copying down my positive 10. Okay, I have negative 10, and I add 10. So that's like saying I owe somebody negative $10, and then they give me $10. So it's really going to cancel out, and I'm going to get 0, because 10 minus 10 is 0. Okay, number next. We're going to go all the way up here. Okay, this one is just one step, and I know it's multiplying because I've got these parentheses, and there's nothing in between them, so I know this means multiplication. So I'm multiplying negative 12 times 4. So I multiply 12 times 4 like normal. So 12 times 4. Well, I know 4 times 2 is 8, and 4 times 1 is 4. So I get 48. Then I do my Dorito Man, and I used a negative 12, and I used a positive 4. So I'm left with negative. So my answer should be negative 48. That was pretty easy, right? One step. Okay, number 9. Geez, they're being easy on you. Okay, so we've got one step again. I'm just adding, so I don't need to really use GMDOS. It's just one step, and it's adding integers. So I've got to do team positive versus team negative. I've got positive 59 and negative 11. Well, 59 obviously wins. They're the winning team. So I take my winning team, subtract my losing team, and I know 9 minus 1 is 8. 5 minus 1 is 4. And then I keep the sign of the winning team, which was positive. So my answer is positive 48. Now here we go. Here's some more steps. Okay. So I've got division and I've got addition. So obviously division is going to go first. So I've got negative 32 divided by negative 8. So we're going to pretend negatives aren't there, and we're just going to divide 32 by 8. And I know 8 can go into 32 4 times. Then I do Dorito Man to figure out the sign. And I know they're both negative, so I'm left with a positive. So it's going to stay positive 4. So I'm going to bring down this 4. And I don't have to do KCO or do team positive or team negative because these are just regular positive numbers. 4 plus 4 is just 8. Okay, number 11. I want y'all to try this. The strategy is KCO. KCO. So y'all try this one doing KCO. Your teacher's going to pause it and y'all try. Okay, hopefully you've had time. Remember, we're going to keep the first number, negative 24. We're going to change the minus to a plus, and then we're doing the opposite of positive 24, which is negative 24. So these are both on team negative. So remember, if they're on the same team, I can just add them together. So I've got 24 plus 24 on the same team. 4 plus 4 is 8. 2 plus 2 is 4. And since they're on team negative, it's got to be negative 48. Number 12. Okay, this time I've got multiplication. Remember the parentheses, there's nothing in between, so I know it's multiplication, and I've got subtraction. So multiplication is going to go first. 4 times negative 5, forget the negative, let's multiply like normal. 4 times 5 is 20. Do Dorito Man. I've got a positive 4 and a negative 5, so I'm left with a negative. So negative 20. Bring down my 7, keeping it nice and neat. Can't do subtraction with the integers. We've got to change it to KCO. Change, opposite. So I'm going to keep negative 20. Change my minus to a plus or an addition sign, and then do opposite of positive 7, which would be negative 7. So these are both on team negative, so you could draw out your chart. But since they're on the same team, all I have to do is add it to figure out the total for that team. So I've got 20 plus 7, which we could probably do in our heads, right? 27, and they're on team negative, so the answer is going to stay negative. Okay, number 13. 10 minus 16. Again, we're have to do the KCO strategy. Keep 10. Change my subtraction to an addition. Opposite of positive 16 is negative 16. So now I do team positive versus team negative. Positive 10, negative 16. 16 obviously is our winner. So I take my winner, subtract my loser. 6 minus 0 is 6. 1 minus 1 is 0. And team negative 1, so my answer is going to be negative 6. Was that all of them? Sweet. Okay, so that was our whole thing. Make sure that you wrote your name on this, and you are going to turn this into the tray so that I can look at this and make sure you wrote down all of your notes, and you can get an awesome 100 because you did all the things you were supposed to. Thanks for listening. Y'all are now going to move into your Google Form assignment in Google Classroom. So I should have probably already been there. But in Google Classroom, when you go there, there's going to be a Google form under today's date. Today's date. Bye, y'all. Thanks for listening.